Welcome back, guys, to our Destiny 1 Legacy playthrough of the Taken King. Okay, so we've taken out a handful of these strikes. What? I see we have something going on over in Mars here. Let's see what we've got on the mission list. Outbound signal. Excellent thing about Cabal control structures. Board the Dreadnought and put an end to Cabal transmission out of the stars. Complete mission outbound signal. Okay. And then we have this. Follow rumors of Taken Coven and the Cosmodrome. Blighted Coven. Okay, so we have that. Those are Taken King related. Broken Will I'm going to skip because that's the sword thing. I don't need to do that. Blighted Worlds is Taken War stuff. I've done a lot of that, but it's not complete yet. Everything else, for the most part, I don't need to do. Okay, so we're going to focus on the Legion's Beachhead and the Taken War Earth. I kind of want to do this one. The Wolves of Mars. I'm going to do that after we're done with the Taken King stuff. Okay, so we have that. I want to go to Earth and do this one mission because it's really fun. If I remember what if I'm remembering what it is correctly. Blighted Coven. The first firewall. Let me look at this list. Did I mention this before? I don't remember if I saved that video recording where I talked about this, but okay, we're looking at a Reddit post from 8 years ago. The first firewall. Where is that mission even listed? That doesn't even look like it's listed at all on this breakdown of mission. That's curious. Instigate Vault RES-2 and investigate the source of the strange signal. The first firewall. Okay. We'll keep an open mind to that. What is this strike? Oh, Fallen Saber, that's right. And then we have Blighted Coven. Okay, so we have a couple of those. Weird, yeah, I don't see this at all. Oh, Blighted Coven is okay, I see where that one is. And then this one again was a first firewall. Okay, I don't see that one. Okay, we'll worry about that later. I just wanted to kind of follow the mission order, but let's do the Blighted Coven and then we'll do the other one. We'll do this first. 48 hard, and then we have mission modifiers. I don't know, maybe there's something special for doing it on a harder difficulty, but I mean, I have all the gear that I need in this game. I don't really need to challenge myself that much. It's just a nostalgia playthrough through the campaign, but there are some things that are different about the difficulty settings, so we'll review those later.
Oryx is dead. Nice work on that.
Yeah.
But the Taken are all wormed down into the cracks at the Cosmodrome. We think a coven of wizards is running the show over there. You're going to shut them down.
I'm wondering... So wizards are voidy, so I'm going to pop you... I'm wondering... Actually, you know what? No, wizards are... Well, they're mostly solar-esque.
Cade, I'm having trouble getting a bead on those wizards.
Oh, I see the Taken running over there. You see him?
My scouts have marked blights all over the Cosmo. They're pumping out darkness like a spigot. Cut off the flow, Guardian. Cleanse the place, and you should be able to find the wizards.
Okay, so we'll just clear a few little things here. Yeah, there we go. Oh, where's the guy lasering? Oh, that pissed something off. Oh no, it's just a spawn of these weakos. Okay, it's one down. Let's go ahead and pop. I see another one back there. Let's go ahead and get some heavy action here. God, if this gun or this sword comes back, I'm going to be so freaking moist. I'm telling you right now. Oh, what the hell? Okay, there we go. Tortured Capin. Yeah. Torture no more, son. All right, let's see. What? It sounded like there was an enemy behind me, but maybe there wasn't. Pop it off, baby. Oh, that's a knight who is spanking my ass. Oh, it's you. Okay, the wizards are underground. Where is the knight that's shooting me so hard? There he is. Oh, no, he's not there. It's not him. Okay, where is he? No, that's not the one. Oh, he's to my left. There he is. There you are, friend. Oh, that's you. Okay, maybe they are void. Because I was thinking that these ones were solar, but those are actually the, whatchamacallits. The wizards themselves that are hive, not the Taken ones. The Taken ones are void. The other guy's gonna light me up if I... Ah, damn it, he's getting me. Where are you? I think there's 2. What the hell? Gotcha. I love it. Let's put him down. Ah, wasted.
That did it. Wizards
Okay.
locked and locked. Next.
That was annoying. What is popping up over here? That juicy noise reminds me of the hive. It's not the Taken, is it? It's underneath me. Can't see shit. Okay, whatever. They'll follow me. Where are the big... Oh, shit. I see you. Did I get the big one? The Cap'n? I'm getting a lot of comments about how you guys are catching up to me, or you've already gotten to this point and you're grinding out like Hadium flakes and just like how much that sucks. I hear ya. I hear ya. Okay, I did not like doing that either. It took me a long, long time. Wow, that sucked. Okay, I'm getting trapped under here. Okay, take your time. That was sloppy. Uh-oh. God, this... Man, I got multiple versions of the Adept Hung Jury in D2. Like, they had a gold version and they had a silver version, and I never got a good roll. Like, there was one Nightfall that it dropped from, and like me and some 2 randoms got a really efficient like run on it where we could beat it, whatever one it was, I don't remember the name, pretty quickly, and we got like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them, and they just all sucked. This one is better than any other Hung Jury, Adept or otherwise, that I've ever seen in D2. I mean, obviously the good ones exist in D2, I just never got the drop. And I'm just so bummed by that. That sucked. What the hell? Uh-oh.
Darkness. It's smothering. We've got wizards.
Ah, I should have used Dark Drinker. Okay, I see these guys. I just need to outrun them. Yeah, I'm not worried about them much. It's kind of scary down in here. I like that. That's sweet. Oh god, that one is spanking me right now. And this is an area that we've had access to since we booted up the game. It's just fun how they did this. I don't know why, I just always thought this was a cool mission. Raise Lighter just freaking ends them, dude. I am so excited for D2 to get the Dreadnought. Playing...
Good reports from all across the Cosmo, Guardian. Taking, abandoning the fight, or getting sucked back to who knows where.
Hell yeah.
Goes in the win book.
Suck them all. Suck them all back. Suck them all back. Suck them all down. Suck them all off. Just get rid of them. I'm really excited though. Like I know that I've been critical of Destiny 2, and I stand by what I said, but I am very curious to know how they're going to handle, like, handle the Dreadnought, because the Dreadnought is, like, my favorite Destiny area, and I think there's some really cool things that they can do with it if they expand it, like the playable area, like, what's changed since we were last on there? Are they going to reprise strikes like Sun the Cell and Shield Brothers? Like, I really hope they do. I don't know how you do that. It could just be a thing where it's like, hey, we just brought this strike back and whatever, like, you know, without any lore explanation as to why it exists. But I love those strikes. Like, in the last couple of episodes of this playthrough, in order, the last two were the Shield Brothers and the Sun the Cell, and I had a great time with those. I really like those. I liked running those. I like the loot that they drop. They're great strikes. Just a lot of fun. We will get kicked, by the way, going back the tower. So I'm curious to know what they're going to do when they bring it back. I know that they've showed off, like, some armor concepts for the 3 classes that has, like, some navigator armor. The Titan one, I'm the least impressed by. The Hunter one has some potential, but the Warlock's armor, ooh, if you haven't seen it, look it up, man. Destiny 2 Frontiers armor, navigator armor. Look that up for the classes. And, oh man, that Warlock looks so damn good. That's a great set. Of course, concepts with the armors rarely kind of come out to being exactly what we wanted. Like the dinosaur armor that they had, the Robo Dinosaur armor, I was actually really disappointed on what that looked like. I bought it for all 3 classes, and they had it was like a Halloween thing where they had these 3 dinosaur robot armor sets, and the concepts looked rad, but then when you bought them, like, they were meh, and I never used them. I bought all 3 in excitement, and then I put them all on, and I'm like, these kind of suck, and I was really sad about that.
Nice shooting, Guardian. Remember, at the end of the day, bullets are the answer to every question.
Bullets are the answer to every question. Now we just need to do some mop up, and it'll be good.
Now, we just need to do some mop-up. It'll be good to work with you.
Taking champions, defeat taking champions of the Divide. Scout. Ah, you're gonna make me do all this. All right, fine. And I don't know if they ever fixed this. I take breaks from Destiny 2, obviously, and I have not for a while, you know, looked at the Eververse in its current state, just because I'm not a fan of how aggressive the monetization has been in Destiny 2. I get that it's free to play, but it's a bit much for me. And I don't think when you are looking at the armors that you can, like one piece at a time. I don't know if you can, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember that you could, like, inspect one piece of armor at a time. I know you can see the full armor set, and I could have probably just been like, oh, okay, like, before I buy, I can get a good full-on body look to it. And I guess I was just blinded by the excitement concept of it. And then all of a sudden it was just like, yeah, this was not, it's not good. It's not what I wanted. Okay, that's on me, though. That's completely my fault. I could have seen that. Okay, let's focus on his thing, though. The Taken War Earth. All right, there's nothing good about the Taken I like. Cabal, good tactics. Hive, great architecture. Well, okay. Fallen are just joke tellers, and Vex can make decent hat racks. The Taken, all they do is spread the blight and try to kill you. Yeah, it's true. Defeat Taken champions of the Divide, Skywatch, Rocky Art. I am going to take a picture of this because my brain is really bad, and I will most certainly forget that. Okay, so I'm taking a picture of that. Okay, and then I'll have that. Now, let's go ahead and pop down there and do that. But for what it's worth, like, there was so when I started the Taken War episode, there was a grinding thing where you had to just go kill a bunch of Fallen, and I spent that whole time while grinding out. I was like an idiot. I didn't fully read it. It said Fallen Pirates, and my brain processed that as Taken Pirates, and so I don't know why. I'm just stupid, and so I was going out and fighting Taken, not realizing I wasn't making any progress. So I was like grinding for like an hour, recording for an hour, blabbling and all this other stuff. It's just me being stupid. But I was talking about sort of like what I want to see from Destiny, like what like Sony needs to do from just a gamer who loves PlayStation, who loves, you know, his time in Destiny and all that stuff. Like, I'm just a dude who likes games, you know. So I obviously, like, as an armchair developer, as it were, not even an armchair developer, I'm just a guy sitting in the armchair watching other people develop stuff, you know. Like, obviously there's opinions that I have that, you know, probably don't amount to jack, right? Because, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm just a consumer. I don't make anything. I'm gonna do this I'm gonna grab this bounty, kill some dudes and get some ammo. and then I'll move on with the quest. But that doesn't mean that, like, as a consumer, though, like, I think there's still value in hearing what the consumer has to say. I can't make games.
Get to taking this place back, Guardian. Sweep the area.
I'm not.
The details.
Thanks, Kate. I'm not a programmer. I don't know what it takes. I just have a vision. And that vision is just a fan who wants to see Destiny live up to its potential. And I think Sony's in a really tough spot because of the massive losses with Concord. I'm seeing conflicting reports about how much money they spent on that budget. Like, people are talking about $400 million. I have no idea. But, like, just to give you, like, an idea for something like that, Marvel's Spider-Man... That was loud. Marvel's Spider-Man 3, it must be one of the yellow bar knights down below. I don't remember ever hearing it that loud. Marvel's Spider-Man 3, which at the time of this writing is currently in as recording is currently in development, has a budget of $350 million. The Last of Us 2 had a budget of roughly $230 million, and Marvel Spider-Man 2 had around a $200 million budget, more or less. So if it's true that Concord did lose $400 million, I don't think that's possible. Like, the report says that, and I find that interesting. Let's see. Champions at Divide, Skywatch, and Rocket Yard. Okay, Divide. Oh, damn it! I screwed up. I didn't look at the map. I'm gonna take a picture of the map because I don't think you can see it while you're down on the ground. Because you can't. You have to go to orbit if you want to zap to places. Let me take another photo real quick of this. But let's just say it cost, you know, hundreds of millions, like whatever that means. Let me take this Rocket Yard. Okay, Rocket Yard Divide. So it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty close. Let's see, so it says Rocket Yard Divide. Let's do this. Bank. Okay. Alright, and then I can just slide back and forth. Divide, Skywatch, Rocket Yard. Okay, perfect. So Skywatch is left, Divide, and okay, that's good. Okay, I know where I'm going. But whatever, they lost a lot of money. And they're being really stingy on the price for the PlayStation 5 Pro, $700 without a disc drive, without a stand. And, like, there's rumors that the PlayStation 6 is going to cost more than that when it comes out in 2028. So we got some time before that happens. And the cost of video games has gone up a lot, right? Like, you know, we're at $7 a video game now for PlayStation, which really sucks. And PlayStation, by all accounts, has dominated and won the console wars. Microsoft has all but given up. But I think that there's I don't know, it's tough because Nintendo doesn't fall in the same category.
I'm receiving reports of fallen snipers in proximity to the patrol beacons. Stay alert, Guardian.
Doesn't fall in the same category. Nintendo doesn't fall in the same category as PlayStation and Xbox. They're very different styles of games that they make. There's some crossover and overlap and multi-platform things, of course, but like when you think of Nintendo, you think of Mario, you think of Pokemon. It's exclusives, like, right? Like Zelda, you know, whatever. You think of Xbox, maybe you think of Call of Duty and Halo, and you know, they don't have very many exclusives anymore. And PlayStation is a massive, like, landscape of exclusives. And they're all, you know, or not all, but they're mostly first-person story games. Like, think about it. Every PlayStation studio that you can name off the top of your head, Insomniac for Marvel's Spider-Man, Naughty Dog for The Last of Us and Uncharted and whatever direction that's going at. And I forget, was it Nordic, THQ? I don't remember. I don't know who makes the God of War games, but God of War remake or reboot or whatever, and then Ragnarok, just to name a few. And those are, like, you know, first person story games. And then on top of the fact that Concord cost so much money, whatever the actual amount was, Bungie has to be furious. Oh, nice, we got the take in here. Sony has to be furious that they bought Bungie at such a high price when the reports that came in later from Pete Parsons or about Pete Parsons were that he oversold the company. He overstated, like, what they had cooking. What is going on? Why is that popping up and there's no enemies? What? What the hell? Did you see that? Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah, just an enemy just, like, disappeared and all of a sudden, brick drop. That's the first time that I've been kicked, I think, while in the Cosmodrome. Oh, nice. It just killed me, I guess. Okay, it didn't actually kick me out. Okay, that's happened to me once or twice. But it didn't send me to orbit like the tower does. I don't know if this is the same instance, if the Taken are still here. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about the Fallen. Yeah, I don't think the Taken are still here, because otherwise they'd be shooting at the Fallen. Yeah, so it's a different instance. There's the Vandals up there. So yeah, we're just going to have to chill down here and fight this guy. We fought this dude before, maybe? I think. But you know, with the massive L that was Concord, like, they didn't make any money on that. Firewalk Studios is no doubt going to go under. The most likely thing is they're going to get shut down. Like, their first game, a AAA game, by the way, they're not an indie studio. They are a first-hand PlayStation studio disaster. And all the money they spent, they got nothing for it because they had to refund everything. Concord sold, according to reports, roughly 25,000 copies, barely, if that. Meaning that if you do the math, it breaks down to roughly $1 million, give or take. Plus the refunds and pulling it down offline, you can't even play the game now. That means that there's nothing left. Now, if I'm Firewalk, I'm doing everything I possibly can to try and prove value and suggest that, like, hey, like, don't shut us down. We have other ideas, Concord and not Concord related. But I just don't think there's any way that you can make Concord, like, I don't think that you can save that. It's not salvageable. The game wasn't designed to be free to play. And so, you know, you'd have to completely redesign every way their game system works. Because if it's not designed to be free to play, it's designed to be a, you know, you pay once and then you get everything. You have to completely restructure, like, your seasonal model. You have to completely restructure any sort of, you know, monetization. Like, there's just no way to save that. Plus, the game just didn't look good at all. Like, I'm not going to get into the socio-political, you know, woke stuff people are talking about, but I don't think the price tag of Concord was, like, its biggest drawback. I think it just didn't look good. I heard it played okay, but, like, it just wasn't appealing. Like, it just didn't, there was no one that appealed to. Nobody. And even if you are, you know, one of those people that, you know, wanted to support their design philosophy for Concord, like, bitch, you didn't buy the game either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the game went nowhere. And so, as a result of that, they made no money. And so now Sony's got to think about, like, is it worth investing in Firewalk anymore? Like, I don't think they're going to invest more in Concord, however much they lost. It just doesn't really make sense. And then finding out that Bungie was...
Darkness grows strong here, Guardians. You know what that means.
Bungie was on...
And decrypt the details.
On the brink of going under if Sony didn't buy them, which is a fact. Like, first-hand reports account the fact that Sony, like, or that Bungie, or Pete Parsons, the CEO of Bungie, flat out said that we would have been facing the possibility of shutting our doors if Sony didn't pay for us, which means that he had to oversell in whatever way he could to get Bungie sold for a huge freaking amount. Now, their whole deal is that as long as Destiny remains profitable, Bungie will kind of remain, you know, autonomous or like an individual separate studio that's not a Sony studio. It's owned by Sony, but it won't have, like, the Sony Studios moniker on it, and they'll remain in control. Bungie will remain, like, independent, but, you know, they'll share their knowledge and their successes and whatever to Sony, so they can work on their other live service games. That was the deal. And then, as it turns out, no, like, Bungie is not making a lot of money. They're not doing a great job. Like, people dipped real hard since Lightfall because of that huge disaster and, like, the repetitiveness that was Seasons. Like, the game just doesn't feel... It hasn't innovated. There's been no innovation at all. Like, yeah, they've changed the UI and stuff, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about updates to the game. I'm talking about innovation. What exactly has Destiny 2 done at all for the player to change the way that you play? It's been the same since day one. Yes, I understand. They changed that you got random rolls. They added new armors. They modified the seasonal mod. I get that. But none of that is innovative. That didn't improve on an existing system, like, for the industry. It just, like, was a bunch of players bitching about how crappy Destiny was, and so Bungie's like, okay, if we want to get players, we have to change this, this, and this. But, like, it's the same experience, like, overall. Hey, purple. It's the same. It's still generally the same experience. And, like, you'd have to be honest with yourself about that. Nothing has changed, right? Like, how you power level grind, still the same. Like, with, like, obviously there's a few little, you know, adjustments here and there, but, like, the overall experience is the same. Countless hours grinding up for an artificial number to inflate playtime in player engagement, so Bungie can be like, look at the numbers, look at how much, you know, people are playing our game, because they tweak things to, you know, make you be a little hamster on a wheel, which is probably a, you know, like a metaphor, I suppose, or a euphemism that you've heard before, because it's very true. And Bungie is known to have you know, hired professionals to find ways to play on people's psychological, like their mentality when it comes to FOMO and stuff. Like they're designed to keep you playing. That's why it's really, really hard for live service games to exist, because, like, for one, a lot of them they smell like cash grabs. Like, you can smell them, and most of them fail because of that. They're not appealing. They've got they're too cash grabby, and it just looks like a company like EA or, you know, Activision or whatever, trying desperately to rake in tons of cash with a minimum viable product, which Bungie has been known for a long time. But at the same time, you gotta ask yourself, like, do you honestly have time to, like, you know, No Life Destiny and Warframe and this and that game and First Ascendant and this over here and that over there? Like, you can't. There's no time. There is no time to do everything that Bungie asks of you to get everything in Destiny 2, because it's a full-time job, and half the game feels like a job. Like, it just feels like a chore. Destiny 1 I like because it's fun to play. It doesn't make a lick of sense. The story's a freaking disaster. The UI is, like, I don't know, mediocre at best. Like, there's obviously a lot of issues that Destiny 1 has. I'm not defending those things. I'm just saying Destiny 1 feels good to play because it is, in Bungie's mind, this is a complete game. You paid full price for this. You know, there's no seasons. There's no free-to-play BS. You know, that this is what you get. But on the other hand, live service games draw in a lot of money for, you know, doing the bare minimum. From a business standpoint, it makes sense. Would you, if you were running a business, don't you think it would make sense to do the least amount of work possible while charging as much money as you can get away with until fans were just so, they are wise up to it, get pissed off, and then start to revolt? Like, of course, you know, you want to spend as little as possible and make as much as possible, right? Like, come on. That's just common logic in how you'd run a business. But the thing is like, Bungie is basically just kind of like, okay, we're going to take the same seasonal activity and we're going to reskin it, and we're going to give you the same armor sets, and we're going to, you know, reskin those and whatever. Like, do you remember, I was actually very vocal about this, and it really bothered me. Do you remember when Garden of Salvation came out, the raid, and one of the raid, like, armor sets, I can't remember if it was a Titan or the Hunter, I don't remember which one, but one of the like raid armor sets was just a lightly touched over reskinned Eververse set. I was furious about that. In fact, there might have even been more than one armor set that was like that. Like, that, unacceptable. You that is, no. You can't come on. They got a lot of flack for that. They didn't do anything about it, but they got a lot of flack for it. God, where is this Taken thing? It's just taking a really long time, isn't it? There's an invisible guy near me. I can hear his invisible shield thing. Maybe one of these guys killed him. Oh, there you are. I heard it. Gotcha. He keeps respawning anyway. So, like, you know, if I'm Sony, like, I want to try and figure out, like, how to make some money. Like, what do you do? And let's not forget that one of the other reasons that Sony, like, or I touched base on this, but one of the main reasons Sony bought Bungie was because they wanted to get some of the genius of how to run live service games, because Bungie is very careful about how they word things. Their PR stuff, their This Week in Destinies, their This Week at Bungie's, like, whatever, like, they're very careful. Most of those, like, blog posts, it's just a big nothing. Like, it's just a big nothing. It's just tons of words, like, spun around that sound exactly the same as last week. You know, it's nothingness. But they're very careful to make it look like there's a lot going on, and there's not. They're masters at BS. And in fact, Bungie actually came in and they consulted on The Last of Us Factions, which was supposed to be their live service multiplayer game. Now, I don't know if you saw this, you could probably find it if you look online, but there was what was that noise? That was interesting. Possibly Taken coming? Yes, there it is. Excellent, finally. And in The Last of Us Factions, we never saw gameplay, but we saw concept art. We got an idea of what the reward model was going to look like, and we saw the UI for, like, the main menu. And I remember thinking, okay, the UI looks cool, but, like, we didn't get anything that represents gameplay, so I don't know if we'll ever see, like, what the intended design was for how that game was supposed to go. But I remember the rewards thing they were a little mediocre, because in the world of The Last of Us, like, you know, everybody wears flannel and ripped up t-shirts, right? So there's not really a whole lot of loot that you can get from that in terms of cosmetic earnings. And they showed like it was Ellie, and she was wearing like a Sucker Punch t-shirt or something, and then this t-shirt and that, like, whatever, and this colored flannel and that colored flannel. It wasn't very interesting, but The Last of Us is a fun game. Like, and its multiplayer was fun at the time. Last of Us 1 and 2 are brilliant. Love them. Love the gameplay, love the feel of it. And, if I'm Sony, oh crap, and a public event on top of it. If I'm Sony, I might be a little pissed off because Bungie came in and they were like, this isn't going to work. Like, whatever you're doing here for the whole thing for The Last of Us is not going to work. And then Naughty Dog came out and said, you know what, we're scrapping this. We're not doing this whole live service thing. Like, we don't, that's not what we do. We're a story-driven narrative story game studio, right? Like, that's what we do here. And that was their thing. That's what they said. And then they backed off. And they were like, we're not doing this. And they canceled the project. And it was largely attributed to what Bungie had said about, what direction the game was going. Now, I don't know if it was good. Maybe it did suck. I don't know what Bungie said. I wasn't there. But if I'm Sony, I might be pissed to find out that Bungie was on the brink of bankruptcy. And here they are telling me to shut down my live service projects. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you be pissed? I'd be pissed. I don't know. But I would be unhappy about that. $3-point-something billion, and you're finding out that this company that swings its big D around, saying that we're the masters of live service because it's been the most long running, but they're basically coming out and saying like, yeah, we're like always almost going broke because we burn money so fast. If I'm Sony, I'm not happy about that. And I think that's the captain back there. I gotta get him. So we'll never see that project. And come on, get him. Did that take him out? Yes, there we go. And I remember also thinking too, if there was a rumor, if you remember this, back in 2021, there was rumors that Microsoft was going to buy Bungie. And they denied, and then it turned out, no, like actually that was true. They were going to buy Bungie. But they ended up finding out that Bungie had a really fast and high burn rate of cash. They were burning through more money than they were actually making. I don't know if it's because Pete Parsons just loves his car collection. I don't know if it's because they spent, a lot of it on, bonuses. I don't know if it's because they dumped a ton of money into their... I heard they had like a new... a new headquarters or something that cost like $800 million. I don't know the specifics. I just heard about that. Don't know if it's true. But whatever the case is, Microsoft was like, hell no, we are not buying this company. There's just no way. But Sony, on the other hand, for some reason, maybe they weren't in on the details of the deal. Maybe they didn't know like what was going on at Bungie at the time. I'm not sure. Maybe they saw some potential in something else.
Almost got this.
But then, Sony buys Bungie for that $3-point-something billion, which I think was more than what Microsoft was eyeing Bungie for to buy. But they got to look at their books, and they were like, no thanks. Meanwhile, like, Pete Parsons is trying to cook up some story to Sony to like completely overpromise and then ultimately underdeliver what Bungie had going on, like their Destiny Rising thing, their their Destiny Rising thing, and then their Gummy Bears thing, and then they had some other project and like all these little incubation projects, and then Pete Parsons came out and was like, yeah, we're shutting all those down because we stretched ourselves too thin, and it was costing us a lot of money, and we're going broke. So we're going to fire, 25, 35, 45% of the staff to try and recoup those losses. And it's like, dude, you greedy piece of trash. Now, the reason for that, of course, is because, by this time, Pete Parsons knew that he was probably in jeopardy of remaining, like he and, his other cronies were retaining control of Bungie because they... Like, this is the part that kind of loses me. So apparently, Bungie had always planned on the second round of layoffs that took place after the final shape. There was rumors that if the final shape did well, then things would be fine. That apparently is not true. And that was confirmed by Jason Schreier, Paul Tassi, and even Liana Rupert, who was a community manager of sorts, or on the community team, or whatever her role was. She was involved in the community team. She came out and she said, like, Pete Parsons needs to resign because these layoffs, like, were confirmed to take place. They were always going to do it, no matter what the final shape sold. And the final shape sold just as good as any other expansion. It wasn't record breaking or anything like that. So, you know, it just sucks that he kind of like BS'd his way since, you know, the layoffs, which I think, when were those? It was after Lightfall, right? It wasn't before that. I think it was after that. I don't remember exactly when it was. I'd have to look at the dates. But round one of layoffs, you know, he was like, I believe the sentiment was like, we're done. But like internally, they knew they weren't done. And on top of that, here's the other fun fact about that to further prove this story. So that 3-point-something billion that was given to Bungie, I believe that the reports came out, and I think I'm pretty sure Pete Parsons himself said this, and you can look this up. He said that a big portion of that 3-point-something billion, at least 1-point-something billion of it, was meant to retain people's jobs so that they wouldn't have to do layoffs. So what the f happened? Where did that money go? Was it the 800 million like dumped into that new facility they didn't need? Was it a ton of bonuses? Was it Pete's car collection? Like, dude, how do you spend that much money that fast? Is it okay, spinfoil that hat theory here, but like money laundering, like what is the deal? Like what's happening? How does that happen? How do you spend over $1 billion meant to keep your employees, and then you're freaking like, you have to lay everybody off? Because if you don't, then, you know, because that's the way that you fix your books. Because think about all the money that you save laying people off, right? If you run a business and you lay people off, you'd have to pay their salaries, their insurance, like medical, dental, like all other things, whatever. And you fire, you know, several hundred employees, like that's a pretty penny. So naturally, Pete Parsons and his other, you know, Bungie board members that are in charge making all these decisions that are just, you know, dragging the company down, they're like, if we don't lay these people off, which was always the plan, we're going to lose control of Bungie. And there was a recent report that came out. I think Destiny Bulletin had it through the Game Post. I think Paul Tassi covered it as well. Frequent Destiny writer for Forbes. You know, like all these other reporters and journalists and stuff were covering that Bungie's legal chief, I think it was the chief legal officer, Donnie, something like that. I don't remember his name. I remember just what he said, and he was basically saying that he was in the room when they were doing the deal, and he was like trying to tell, you know, Pete and the other people in charge who were in the room, he's like, if you think that Bungie is going to give you, or sorry, that Sony's going to give Bungie $3-point-something billion to buy you and own you and sit back and let you do whatever you want, you have got another thing coming. And I remember hearing reports, like financial reports from some of Sony's leadership. Some of Sony's leadership, they basically were saying, like, look, like, we need to instill better practices and discipline here because Bungie is not performing the way that they should. But, like, it's business speak. You're speaking to investors and, you know, it's public stuff. So, like, people like me and you can hear it. So, naturally, he's not going to say, you know, the president of Sony is not going to say, these mother people are burning all our money. It's a joke. We way overspent. He's not going to say that. So, he, you know, kept his cool. He was very professional about it. But you could hear how pissed he was because they flat out lied. And since then, because you'll remember Sony and even Warner Brothers, and this is like Warner Brothers was doing this with Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Warner Brothers is doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on live service, whereas Sony, who I don't remember the number, but they had at least a dozen, I want to say, at least a dozen plans. Maybe it was 24. It was either like, I don't know, 12 or 24, whatever. It was way more live service incubation projects that Sony was investing in that they were all bad, right? Like you just like, I don't know what they were, but I mean they're bad in that live service games suck. We all agree, right? Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, disaster. Like, you know, that was one of the biggest jokes in the live service, you know, space for a long time. And then, you know, think of all the other live service games that you've never heard of ever. It's because they came and went that fast. Marvel's Avengers, you know, came and went as well. And then, you know, Concord, which wasn't live service, it just woefully unappealing. just sucked because it, you know, didn't look good. It had a huge price tag on it when other games in its genre are free to play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things that was like, that were basically, you don't have to be a professional in the industry to see that obviously Concord was going to fail. There is no doubt. Okay, I heard that growl. Was that a knight or was that Taken? I'm not seeing any Taken pop-ups yet, so we'll just keep on looking. But you know what I mean? So, like, you know, Bungie's in a bad way, but for the betterment, I think, of us, the consumer, I think that Bungie is in a very bad place as far as their leadership. But here's the other thing, okay? Like, because I know one of their big talking points is, like, okay, like, why doesn't Sony fire them? Why aren't they? Well, there's a handful of reasons. Like, I do YouTube full-time, but it is not my full-time job. I'm not going to say where I work or what I do, but I've worked for a lot of companies, a lot of big-name brands, ones that you would recognize if I was to say the name. And I know a thing or two, and when I say a thing or two, I mean, like, literally, like, a thing or two, okay, about stocks and investments. I don't know a lot. I don't know anything about financial investing. I'm not a genius when it comes to that, but I have been paid in stock. I have had vested options, and I have cashed out on a lot of those things. And I will tell you, in my experience, how it worked for me. I don't know how it works at Bungie, but this is what happened to me. I worked for a company, okay? And a company said, Mark, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you, you know, your annual raise and blah, 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 your merit increase, whatever, and then we're going to give you stock options. And the way that it was explained to me was that, okay, we're going to give you 500 shares of stock over 5 years, and different agreements and terms and stuff would obviously break out how exactly you're given stock over 5 years. But, like, obviously for me, like, it was pretty simple. 500 shares over 5 years, 100 shares a year is pretty simple. But sometimes it might be a little bit more this quarter, every 6 months, or this, every 4 months or 3 months or whatever, or a little bit less depending on how the company's doing and whatever. Okay. So I ended up quitting that company around 2 years later. So I was only able, like, I stayed until 2 years in, I got my second set of 100 shares. And so I ended up with 200 shares at that point. But I lost my other shares, right? My other 300, like, options or stock options or shares. I lost those because I didn't stay for the full 5 years. So I only got those two, which was fine. Like, it wasn't so much money that it was like a hard decision or anything like that. I didn't like the company. I didn't like how it was run. It was a culture of fear, and there was just a lot of negativity. And, there we go, Taken finally. Every day, 5 or more people were getting fired. It was just a bad company. It was just not good. But that's how that worked for me. That's what I was given as sort of a compensation reward, was the option for stocks. Now, I say all that because the rumor is that a lot of Bungie's leadership, the ones that are ruining Bungie, that are turning Destiny into a game you don't want to play that much, those idiots, those guys that are working on the minimum viable product, who really just want to reskin everything and do the content vault and then resell it to you later, those guys allegedly have stock options that don't fully vest until 2025 and or 2026, which means they are going to stick it out. They are going to stay at Bungie until that time so they can cash out, which means they are going to do everything that they can to F the consumer and increase the value of their shares in Bungie's stock. So, this sounds really crappy, right? Like, when you lay off people at a company, that is a smart business move in the sense of making money. It does not look good. The image of the company does not look good when you do that, but that's how you make a whole bunch of money back. When your products aren't selling, you lay a bunch of people off to make your money that way. That's what you do. So naturally, when you do that, the value of the stock goes up because you've made a smart business move and the company retains value because you're not spending all that money on those annoying employees that are making your product good, right? Okay, where is this lieutenant? Is there someone else here? I don't see anybody else on the map, but I'm running around trying to find this lieutenant. I don't see him. Just see these weakos. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to milk every little thing that they can over the course of what remains of 2024, what remains of what'll be 2025, and then however long it takes in 2026 for them to fully be able to vest. I don't know when that is. It's like a fiscal year and a full year is not the same, right? Like, so a year ends in, December 31st or whatever, and then a New Year's January 1st. That's not how businesses work. They operate in a different way. Their year may end like 3 months earlier or 3 months later. I don't know. Whatever. Every company probably has some sort of different system for that. So that's why a lot of these bad decisions are made, why more layoffs are most likely, possible, and like all these other really bad things are going to probably happen to Bungie, because they're trying to do everything they can to like make money, save money, and increase their own individual value by laying people off. And then the shares that they get as a result will be higher and get that golden parachute when they ultimately leave. Because there is no way Pete Parsons and, and those other like morons are going to stick around. They're just not. They're not going to stick around. Now, there hasn't really been a lot of talk about Jason Jones. Yes, there we go. But I do firmly believe that he is a huge problem at Bungie. His ego and hubris and his talk about how he believes that VR is like the future of like gaming. Like, oh my God, dude, that was so several buzzword topics ago. We've moved on to Bitcoin and Web3 and AI and, other crypto bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Where is this? There he is. He is the lead creative officer. Okay. So the creative aspect of Bungie, like, just think of how not creative things have been over there. Yeah, there's some beautiful set pieces and environments, but like nothing really you can do in them. They're all very uninteresting, like in terms of how you can engage with your environment. I just don't think he's the one anymore. I don't think he's the guy to be making good decisions any longer. I think he needs to go. I think he's old guard, and I think he just doesn't really know like what the fans want, or he doesn't care because he thinks that he knows better. But I think that Sony has already sort of instilled that discipline they talked about. They've already sort of like approached Bungie with the, hey, no, you're going to do this and you're going to do it right. And the one thing that Sony does right is first-person story games. Tell me one live service game that Sony is known for. One. You can't. There isn't any. There is none. Because that's not what they do. Now, of course, like, from a business standpoint, it sucks when you make a great game like The Last of Us 2 and, it sells millions of copies or whatever and breaks all sorts of records, but it's only that one $60, $70 hit, or whatever, $60 on PlayStation 4 and then a $10 upgrade to PlayStation 5 or something like that, right? It sucks because they want live service money that just keeps coming. And they want to do it for as little as possible. Like, they want to make a ton of money, and they want to do it for as little effort and as little cost as possible. There we go. Nice. Put them down. There's 2. But Bungie can't do that because they've shown that without Sony's money, they're freaking broke. So Sony's furious about that, and since they have since canceled so many of their live service projects, like Destiny is really the only one that we know of. They went from like 1 or 2 dozen, like I said, and now they're down to like single digits, like 4 or 5 or 6 or something. And even then, we haven't heard anything about them. Like, we have no idea, what those are. And I don't think they're going to come to fruition either. Because if you cancel a live service The Last of Us game, you're not going to start a brand new live service IP and expect that thing to take off. You're absolutely not. Okay, what was the other one? Champions at Divide, Skywatch, and Rocket Yard. Okay, so we're going to go to Skywatch, which is here. Okay. Like that, like The Last of Us has such a massive, like, fan base baked in. There would have been plenty of people that would have been interested in trying that game. And maybe it wouldn't have been a major hit, but I think it would have done better than Bungie thought. Like, what does Bungie know, Like, they're like almost broke. But I also, but to be fair about that, I think in the defense of that is like, Bungie knows what to make that's good. I just don't think they're good with their money. I think the leaders at the top are sitting there just like, wiping their butts with $100 bills and, having little bonfires and just tossing stacks of cash in there. I think that's what Bungie's doing. The leadership anyway.
In proximity to the patrol beacons. Stay alert, Guardian.
Because, like, the stuff that I like about Destiny 1, like, if they were to expand on that, like, because Destiny 1 is one of, if not my, it's definitely top 5 favorite games of all time. I think it definitely has my greatest memories of a video game ever too. But ultimately, it's just too, there's no depth to it, to Destiny 1, right? Like, I want an actual, this is not an RPG. Destiny 2 is not an RPG. I don't care. You're never going to convince me that it's an RPG. Like, and it's massive multiplayer online only in the sense that, like, Call of Duty is massive multiplayer online, right? That Fortnite is massive multiplayer online because there's multiple players massively and they're all online. Like, you can really spin that. God, these mini bosses are stronger than they look. Look at that. A rocket and it doesn't even take down his shield. Look at how much damage this guy can take. Yeah, see, like, it doesn't... Yeah, this is a pain. I wonder... Boltcaster might do it, but then he starts running, and it's kind of hard to track him down. Because he's got that arc shield. And so, like, we have no freaking clue, like, what Sony's gonna do. But I think... that Sony is going to probably reevaluate Destiny and turn it into a much better single player story with multiplayer elements, which is what it always should have been. In a campaign, there should be absolutely nothing that you can't do solo. Strikes, sure, fine. Like, maybe there should be like an option to do it solo. And then, you know, with other players, but only like I think a campaign, I'll say it again, the campaign should feel like Elden Ring with the ability to invite 2 more players in your fire team and then go take on bosses and have the difficulty scale for however many players are actively by your side and then have raids. Borderlands does that very well. Borderlands 2, masterpiece. Borderlands 3, don't like the humor. But I think the games look cool. Cel-shaded style. I don't think Destiny needs that, but I think they look cool. Tons of gun options, tons of customization, tons of grinding, tons of just they've got so many pieces done right. Like, there's a handful of games that have incredible elements that are all really, really, really good. And if they could somehow put them together, you would have the greatest game ever conceived. Think about it. Elden Ring, Borderlands, Destiny. Combine what makes the best out of that, but make it a Destiny game specifically. That's the hit right there. And one of the things that I have heard and read from reports, again, this is more from like the game post from Destiny Bulletin and other people talking about like inside information, and I think Astacross talked about this. Like, there's enough out there where, like, you know, this isn't just BS, right? It's not just me making it up. Like, I'm, you know, whatever. It's not hard to find, and I'm too lazy to put the links down below, but like, you can find it if you look for 5 seconds. It's not hard. Let me equip this. But they're really upset because Bungie has not cared about bringing in new players. They just want to suck the wallets dry out of existing fans like you and me. But like, a lot of you guys have been saying that you've been going back to D1, you're having a lot more fun with that, and like, you couldn't get into D2 didn't have the magic, and like, even the new game director for Destiny 2 was like, yeah, we want to go back to what, you know, the magic was for Destiny 1. He wouldn't elaborate on what their idea of that means. Like, I know what I mean when I say the magic of D1. I don't know what Bungie means. I don't think they know. I think Bungie spends too much time with raw data, you know, in an Excel spreadsheet rather than actively like understanding what players really want. I don't think they fully grasp it. I know where I'm trying to go, but I also don't know where I'm trying to go. And so that's the thing, is like, but also Bungie has that monkey's paw thing, right? Like, it's always 1 step forward, 3 steps back with them. They'll do one little thing that we want, but they'll make it painful. And it's like, dude, just make a fun game. I don't want a no-life Destiny. I don't want to have a live service game that, like, I just have to, like, give up my job for. Like, how many of you guys have relationships? Let's be real, you don't have any relationships. I'm just kidding. I'm sure you've got boyfriends, girlfriends, both. I don't know, whatever. But imagine, like, think about how many times you've had a spouse or a partner, you know, or whatever, that you're someone that you're seeing that rolled their eyes at you because you're playing video games. A lot of that might have been, you know, Destiny stuff. Skywatch, right? Let me see what we're looking at here. Yeah, so it should be here. Like, there was like posts and stuff about guys getting divorced because they spent too many hours in Destiny. Now, granted, like, that's on them, right? Control yourself. However, there's a lot of weak-willed people out there. And it makes sense that a business would want to take advantage of that, because a business is not your friend. They don't care how you feel. They don't care about your relationship. They care about your money. And Bungie has made that far too obvious in recent years. No, not the developers, I don't think. I don't think they, have that same mindset, because the developers want to make something awesome. Remember when Bungie used to have, what was their little moniker or little phrase, we make games we want to play? They changed that because they don't want to make games they want to play. And remember when, God, what was his name? The bald guy with the facial hair. He had that summit thing that he was caught recorded on, and he said that games like Elden Ring, they over-deliver, and that's a failure. And Bungie does not want to over-deliver ever, because if you over-deliver once, fans come to expect that. Like, that is so gross. That was so gross. There was a huge fiasco. I think it was some recording from 2021 or 2022. I can't remember, but it was some what was it, like not a press conference, but whatever, like it was like some seminar, and basically the general manager for Destiny at the time, he's been promoted I think since then, he was talking about like what you need to do to succeed, and it's not about making good content, it's about making fast content. And so like he didn't outright say we're taking advantage of players and we're trying to just recycle everything. He wouldn't say that, but he said that you have to be fast. That is the most important thing, is your speed in which you can push out content, which is why most of the Destiny content we've gotten since the seasonal model started happening has been recycled content, because they need to make it fast. And what's faster than vaulting content, sprinkling a couple of new, like leaves over here and rocks over there, and throw some taken orbs over on this thing and giving it some, whatever, hivify, and like a typically unhived location. Like, it's easy to do that, and it's fast. And that's why they've been doing that, is because they have to be fast. They have a heavy crunch time. They push out a ton of content that's, the same stuff. The content vault, there is no excuse for that. Like, there's nothing you can say that makes sense for that. To make up space, F yourself, because they ended up reversing it anyway. Like, they didn't do it for any other reason other than they wanted to pull all the content away that you liked, so that way they can reissue it later. Because a lot of the guns that you have are guns that you probably are going to stick to. Like, how many of you, like, be real, you guys may chase after new guns, but most players, I guarantee you, most players are not switching up their loadout. You find one or two different builds that you really, really like, and you stick to it. Because, like, keep in mind, like, the modding system of Destiny 2, in order to fully, like, min-max everything in your build, like, that's a lot of freaking work, finding that perfect armor piece, that perfect weapon roll, like that mod, that setup, and all that. And a lot of your weapons are, like, they're accents to, or appenditures to your build. So it's hard to, like, change up your weapons when you have a build that's probably, around that super, around that particular subclass and ability and in your weapon and all that stuff. There's not as much flexibility. And, like, finally introducing loadouts is a way to, like, quickly switch between them. But, like, I'm gonna be real with you, like, I've never once used the loadout system, and I've completed every single task I've ever set out to do with, like, just the guns that I feel comfortable with. Because if you're decent enough, it doesn't really matter what your loadout is. The mods, yeah, it's nice, I guess, but, like, it's not necessary. You can make it work. If you're competent and you have a competent team, like, you don't need all that. So what I'm saying is they were looking at that, and they talked about this. I think Breakneck was a very specific one that Luke Smith, who is no longer with Bungie, which I don't feel bad about. Like, no one should lose their job, but I don't think he was doing Bungie any favors for a long time. He came out and he was saying that he was playing with a friend and they were using a weapon. I thought it was Breakneck, but it might have been something else. But he was talking about how a friend was using this specific weapon, and basically the sentiment was the friend loved that weapon so much, never wanted to use another weapon. And then Luke Smith, it occurred to him, Destiny Content Vault, because he was like, he basically said, I don't want you to be stuck with that one gun. Like, I want you to use different stuff. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. But he did talk about that. He said it himself, and I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly the quote, but that's what I heard when he was talking about that instance playing with his buddy who had that weapon he loved. That's what I heard, is that he did not like that he was using a weapon so, religiously, specifically, and not mixing it up, because it slows his playtime down. Because if you've got a loadout you like, you're not chasing out, after other weapons, and really that's all you do in Destiny now, right? Because once you get an armor set that you really like, you're not going to go after a whole different armor set, not for the stats. You're just going to, do the cosmetic portion of it. Like, I hate chasing after armor. You're going to find one armor set that is, like, just a general versatile build. You're going to stick with that. And, you know, whatever. I do think that they need to do something different with that, actually, though. I think an adept armor chase would be dope. But, like, I don't... Like, Artifice Armor already does that, right? It gives you an extra slot for, you know, enhancing your stats by a couple points, which, again, are honestly negligible in most cases. But, like, they help a little bit. But I don't really notice it. But it's also, you know, the ADHD thing, which is why I'm able to talk on this monologue for so long. I'm shocked if you're still listening, by the way. But that's why they content vaulted. They wanted to take your guns away. Okay. He was very liberal, right? He took your guns away, whatever. He pulled a move and had the Destiny content vault. And what happened? We got it all back, and we had to pay for most of it, right? That's why they did it. It wasn't because it was taking up too much space. If you believe that, you were kidding yourself. Taking up too much space. What a joke. The only part I slightly believe about that is, like, areas like planets or moons that weren't really being used that much, or like there's no storyline that brings you there. So they pulled that down, and then they later reissued it to you anyway in the form of, like, a revamped, not even a new, but a revamped location as a part of, like, a part of the seasonal model. And then, like, what is every season now? Reprised weapons? Come on. Ridiculous. Like, because that's the thing, is, like, everybody knows you don't chase after, you know, armor once you get that, your armor set. That's why only the weapons were vaulted. I guess, and the raids, too. Some of the raids and there were armor pieces from that as well that got pulled back, but, you know, I don't know. That's the thing, is, like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I honestly, when they killed factions, I thought they did that because they were going to revamp it and bring it back in, like, a fun way, and they didn't. They didn't do it. I really thought that we would have Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, and Future War Cult in Destiny 2 by now, and they didn't. I don't. That's a bummer. SRL, I think that could have absolutely came back. I don't think that there's any logistical explanation or reason why they didn't come back, because if you'll remember, a long time ago, like, when you had your sparrows in the earlier Destiny 2 era, when you had your sparrows and you were summoning them, they would disappear on you. And then it was later a bug when they stayed in the game. And then Bungie was like, okay, we're going to address that because that takes up too much memory and resources when you've got too many sparrows, like, loaded into the screen. And then what happens? They decide, no, that's fun. We're going to keep that. And now when you have your sparrow and you leave it, like, they all stay on the map and you can shoot each other's sparrows and blow them up and stuff like that. Like, that's a thing now. And I say that because that tells me, like, it's probably not hard and not a memory issue that SRL doesn't come back, because, you know, you already have the maps from the D1 era. And you're not going to convince me that it's harder to bring back a racetrack than it is a freaking raid. No. You're never going to convince me that. I just think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and BS about that. SRL could have definitely come back, but they just won't do it because it takes extra time. But raids are a big draw for a lot of players. And, you know, SRL, they're just like, that's too much effort for something so little. Because, like, SRL would be, like, a fun thing to do, like, every once in a while, whatever. But, like, they're not going to make a whole event out of it that cycles through, like, Iron Banner, which I think they should. Like, it should have been, like, because Iron Banner sucks. I'm sorry. Iron Banner blows. I never really liked the armor sets of D2. The D1 armor was great. The D2 armor is mostly garbage. If you like the D2 Iron Banner armor, you have terrible taste. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's so bad. It's ugly. Ugly and uninspired. But that's what I would have liked, because it's like, it's every week now, Iron Banner trials. Like, it just doesn't, and none of that feels good because PvP doesn't feel good in Destiny. God, I was hoping that little chat thing was going to be the Taken thing here. I know this I've done this Taken thing before. I recognize it. Oh my God, we haven't been to the loot cave yet. I forgot. We have to stop by here. 1 million deaths.
1 million deaths. 1 million deaths are not enough for Master Rahul.
I don't really understand that. It's a funny little joke, but I don't understand, like, why reference Rahul here. Oh, I just got it, actually, because you're killing all these and they drop engrams and you bring the engrams to Master Rahul. Okay, that makes sense. That took like 5 seconds to figure out. I never thought about it before. But 1 million deaths for enemies. You kill 1 million enemies, get all the engrams and bring them back. But he just loved decrypting engrams. Okay, that makes sense. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just super silly. But I think Sony is a master of you know, single-player story adventure games. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima, you know, a little repetitive, but I have a playthrough of that up on my channel, and I had a lot of fun with that. Beautiful, gorgeous open world. The concept of that was fantastic. The activities, very repetitive. But they're working on a sequel because of its success. They're working on like a movie or a TV show or something. And I think the guy, last I heard, I don't know if this is true, but last I heard, the guy who plays, is it Jin Sakai? I think that's the name of the player character, I think. He, the actor, looks like Jin Sakai and voices Jin Sakai. He's supposed to be playing... Oh, there we go, taken. He's supposed to be playing Jin Sakai in the movie or TV show, whatever it turns out to be. I don't know what the status of that is. Thank God. So I'm stoked about that. That's gonna be a lot of fun because Shogun is a rad show. If you haven't checked that out, no spoilers, but that's freaking awesome. Shogun is great. We need more of that stuff. So you know what I'm saying? Like I think Sony knows like that these guys are on their way out, but I think Sony has taken over Bungie and they're like, you guys can stay, but you're not gonna have any control anymore because of all the things that you're doing. You're making Sony look bad and like all this stuff. Like it's, you know, it's a bad image thing and. You know, it's just L after L, and then Chris Barrett got let go from Bungie because of, like, you know, like essay allegations and stuff, you know, like, so, like, there was that. That's why they have a new Destiny 2 director. I think, was Chris Barrett, was he a Marathon director? I think maybe that was it, sorry. He was the director for, he was a Destiny dude, and then he went to Marathon, and then he got kicked from that, and they said that he was on, like, sick leave or some sort of thing. But it turns out he was, like, coercing women and making them uncomfortable and telling them that he's like such a high up individual at Bungie that like their careers could benefit from, you know, from being with him, and talking about things like doing Truth or Dare with them and stuff. Like, dude, come on. That's what happens when you get a bunch of losers that fail upwards, like losers that have no idea. Actually, in fact, he was and is married to a Twitch streamer, which, you know, that I don't know. I've got thoughts on that, but that's just baseless. It's just something that I was thinking about. And so, like, you know, it's just L after L after L after L, and it's just not a good look. So, you know, if I'm Sony, I need to make some money. And I've seen a little bit of like a division on the whole concept of like Destiny being, you know, all about friends and players and other players and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, like, I made some great friends in Destiny 1. Not in Destiny 2, but in Destiny 1. And I think that there's, you know, I think there's a healthy split that you can do. Wow, he got right up on me. For single player experiences in multiplayer. And I think Borderlands is the one that has that whole loot multiplayer thing on lock. I really do. They've got it down because, like, you know, you have your raids, you have your, you know, the PvP is not the same. Like, it's not, you wouldn't be able to do that exact same thing. For Destiny needs to have its own dedicated servers. It needs to have, you know, a lot more going for it because Bungie just doesn't care to take it seriously, but they need dedicated servers, and you need to turn the PvP into a competitive place to, like, you know, compete with things like oh crap, I missed that, Call of Duty and stuff. You know, you need Call of Duty players to come over and be like, nah dude, I want to play some Destiny, like PvP. Like, you got to find a way to make that happen. I think that's really important somehow. I don't know how you do it, but I think dedicated servers would be a big part of it. Create some sort of forge system if you can, some way to more game modes. I just can't believe that there's not, you know, there's not more game modes and stuff. Like, Halo had so many variations, and like, we got nothing for Destiny. Like, that's crazy town to me. Yeah, this guy's just smoking me right now. I'm gonna have to just pick him off this way. But I think that's what you do. I think you make a better first, like, an onboarding thing, make the game complete, like a really deep, elaborate campaign. Because, like, you know, the missions that you get from, like, a lot of these campaigns, it's like 8 missions. 8 missions is not enough, dude. Like, that's so weak. For as much as Bungie, like, you know, forces you to pay, often like $100 for, you know, the dungeon key and the season pass and the collection and all that stuff, and 8 missions in a campaign. Come on, dude. No wonder players are like so hungry for more content, because it's not enough. Okay, I need to beat this dude. Where are you? There. Gotcha. Oh boy. Okay, let's get out of here. Speak to Cade, we'll just go. But I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to completely redo the onboarding process so there's not a strong, like a huge barrier for entry, because like starting a new character in Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 sucks. It's always sucked. It's never been good. They've done nothing at all to respect the player and like how they introduce the concepts and the world to you and explaining things and the complications of mods and this. Like Bungie's never done that very well because they don't care, because the people that play are diehards, and so they figure it out. But like no game should ever force you to go to their website to like learn about things in game. You should not have to go to YouTube or Reddit or forums to try and figure out the basics of a game. If you're doing that, the game is failing in those areas, significantly so, and there's no excuse for it. And Sony has been vocal about that very thing, and so we're going to see them redo that. We're going to see them redo that onboarding process. I think they're going to lean heavy into first persons, or I keep saying first person, but single player stuff. And then they're going to, obviously, you know, raids are still a big deal. They can't get rid of raids. That's a part of Destiny and its DNA. You just can't do that. That would be such a killer.
That really is fascinating.
Okay, nothing good from all this. And a rank up. And another blue out of that.
Back if you learn anything of interest.
Trash and trash. We'll save the purples because I got a few things to pick up over here. But I bet you they do that. And then I don't know if they're going to get this all done by the time Frontiers comes out, but I think Frontiers, I don't know if that was a Sony idea, if that was always part of Bungie's plan, but I'll bet you if it was part of Bungie's plan to do whatever they're doing with Frontiers, I would bet you there's a really good chance that whatever Bungie had planned for Frontiers, Sony stepped in and said, no, you're going to do this.
What have you broken?
I'm in.
And I think all you got to do is just go to the Game Post website, because like they cover a lot of good news. Like it's if the whole the articles are all written like it's written by AI, and you know, it just seems a little cheesy. But they are a really good source for Destiny stuff. I don't like the style of writing, but they do have Destiny stuff going on.
Interesting.
That you can.
I should get back to my studies.
That you can get some good information from. So go to the GamePost.com, check it out, and see what they say. Pretty much everything that I've said has you know, is built off of what they've stated in those articles, and they, if you're looking for proof of some of the things I've said, just look no further, go there. Let's see, do we have anything else here? Boppity boppity bop. Okay, let's go talk to Cade. That's what I think they're gonna do. I am bummed the Last of Us Factions didn't happen. But the thing is like a game like Destiny benefits more from live service because it's space magic and they can design whatever they want for armor and weapons. There's only a handful of things you can do in The Last of Us, right? A bow and arrow, a handgun, a sawed-off shotgun. You're not going to get like some magic space sword, right?
Good work out there, Guardian. But piecemeal isn't getting the job done. We got to go for the source.
Okay, we're going to use a bait and switch, a real plan and everything. Something is still churning out blight on the Cosmodrome. We're going to kill one of Oryx's happy few. We'll keep an eye out for the taken signature spikes. When Oryx zone goes down, we can track the source by the spike.
It's a bait and switch. A real plan and everything. Stay alert out.
Okay, let's talk.
King's Decay. Let's see, should we do that next? Because I was wondering about that mission. That one's pretty far down the list, and I was wondering when we were going to get to that. Kings of Decay. Let's see what it says. Is it a random grind thing, or is it an actual mission? So the first firewall. About the source of the taken blight across the Cosmodrome. Now this video is long enough. We'll wrap it up here and I'll save that for the next one. We talked about a lot of things. I don't want to jump into another mission now. It's an hour and some odd minutes. I think it's a good point for us to stop. But anyway, like I said, I've said this before, and if I didn't, I thought I did, and I'll say it now. If you want to have a discussion about this, leave a comment and let me know what you think. Do not get angry. If you get angry at me for what I said, I'm gonna just remove you from the channel. And it's just because I feel like this is just a video game. We're just talking about a video game. I'm a nobody. I don't work at Bungie. I don't work at Sony. I'm just a consumer, and these are things that I would like to see and things that I, I'm sure that you might not agree with me on in some areas and some things you might. But whatever the case is, If you want to have a healthy discussion, you can do it in the comments on YouTube in a respectful way, or you can join the Marcanine Discord server and jump in the Destiny channel there, where we have people that are, you know, joining raids and fire teams and stuff for D1 and D2. You can come be a part of that, and you can join that community, and you can be a contributor, or you can talk to me about your thoughts on this. But I do think that this is something that it's a hot topic for some, because there's a lot of passionate Destiny gamers, and I will say this: not all Destiny players are antisocial people or have social anxiety or have a really hard time articulating, but there are a lot of Destiny people that are those things. They aren't all that, but a lot of them are. And trust me, I've been on the edge of their ire. So, you know. Anyway, I'm just saying, be respectful. If you have a different thought, let's have a healthy conversation and talk about this. I'm totally down for that. But if you have other thoughts, other ideas, or whatever, you go ahead and show your love and leave a comment. Let's get the discussion going. You can also show your love by hitting the like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. As I said, any feedback, leave it in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as possible, but just don't be a dick. Also, don't forget to take a look at the description box. There are links there that might be of interest to you, including a link to the Marcanine website and a link to the Marcanine Discord server. Come be a part of that group, chat with me directly, be a part of the discussion, and let's get this thing going. Otherwise, just know I appreciate you and your time, and I hope to see you when we continue with more of our playthrough of Destiny's The Taken King. All right, guys, that's it for me. Take care, be well. See you next time.